first things first. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. That's so good. But today I wanted to share 5 books that I've read specifically this year that are books that I could not put down. Okay, these were books that I read within like 1 to 2 sittings, one day. They were just unput-downable books. But some of you asked me if I would be interested in sharing these a little bit more in depth on YouTube, and I was like, nobody's gonna care about this. And I still don't think anybody's gonna care about these videos. But if these videos could help like one person pick up a book and enjoy it this year, then let's freaking go. So these are my 5 book recommendations that I feel like are perfect to get into reading again. These are just like exciting books that will keep you on edge. Also, I don't have any of the physical books to show you guys because I do only read on my Kindle. And before I get started, I do just want to do a little plug for my book club. I have an online virtual book club. We just started in September, so it's brand spanking new. It's for anyone from beginners to avid readers. I have some people in there who literally have never read for pleasure before, and we also have people who have read over 150 books this year alone. It's a small monthly fee to join just so that you can hold yourself accountable. We can have this community, and it just makes it more tight-knit. And you also have access to live chats with me, and we do monthly video chats discussing the ending of the book and everything. So we just started again, but you can join at any time in the month if you'd like. I will link that down below. So I'm starting off with my favorite book of the year, I think. Oh, it's so hard to pick one, but Verity is just, it's so good, so good. This is a book that's actually free with, I think, Kindle Unlimited. It's definitely the #1 book that I have gotten the most of you to read already. This book follows a girl named Lowen, and she's a struggling author. She hasn't really gotten anything in a while, and she essentially gets her big break when a man named Jeremy Crawford wants to hire her to help finish his wife Verity's book series because she was in a serious car accident recently, and she is like a renowned author. So Lowen's like, what the heck? This is like wild that like little old me, they want to hire me to finish this huge author's book series. So Lowen has to stay at the Crawford's house for a couple of weeks. So as she's going through all of this years and years of research and notes, Lowen unintentionally discovers Verity's unpublished manuscript and autobiography. So she basically gets like a look into who Verity was before her car accident, and she starts seeing some horrifying revelations. All the while she's literally upstairs, Lowen is just battling with this horrifying manuscript and the revelations from reading this, as well as questioning the validity of Verity's current state. And at the same time, Lowen is developing feelings for this guy. Like, she's spending so much time with Jeremy, she's learning more and more that she really likes, but he's still married and he's still like essentially her caregiver upstairs. Does he deserve to know the truth about his wife, or should she keep it hidden? This is a twisty thriller that I could not put down. I read it in 2 sittings. It needs to be made into a movie ASAP. I think it would be so good. The ending is one of those that's up to interpretations. The second book I couldn't put down is called The Silent Patient. This one is definitely well known. I think a lot of book clubs have read this book, and it's actually the debut novel from this author, which is just crazy to me. Like, he absolutely killed it. I think this is going to be made into a movie, which is very exciting. This book is about a woman named Alicia Brenson, who is a famous painter who murders, shoots her husband, and goes silent. She's sent to a psych ward after this, and nobody really knows like why she did it, because she had this seemingly perfect life. She's this famous painter. Her husband, Gabriel, was this fashion photographer, and they lived in this beautiful mansion in London. You know, one day she shoots him and they're like, what the heck? But the story is actually told from a man named Theo's perspective, and he is a criminal psychotherapist, and he becomes really interested in this case because it's a notorious case, because everybody knows this famous painter and wants to know what happened. Obviously, this woman who went silent, like, who wouldn't be interested in this case? So Theo is determined and makes it his mission to learn about Alicia and get her to speak. So he starts working at the psych ward, and he starts setting up some one-on-one sessions with her to try to get her to speak. It's pretty much all I can say. It's a quick read because you just will not want to put it down until you know exactly what happened here and why she shot her husband and why she went silent. And it's so good. I thought I knew what the twist was going to be, and it's one of those with the endings that I was completely wrong. And I love when that happens. Like, I love when I think a book is going one way and I have all my theories and I'm like, okay, I'm picking up on all these clues, and then I'm totally caught off guard. And it took me like days to recover after that ending. I like couldn't read for a few days because I just needed to digest what the heck just happened. The next book I couldn't put down is called You Are Not Alone, and this is by a woman named Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekanen. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I think they've written 3 or 4 books together. I've read 3 of them, and they are so good. Like, I love their writing styles. So again, it's like once you find some authors that you love, it's so easy to just go read their other books and you'll probably like them. They give me the juice that I am looking for. We respect it. The main character in this book is a data obsessed girl. Like throughout the book, she'll just start listing off some data and it really like all ties in together, which is kind of cool. But her name is Shay and the book starts off with her at the subway and she unintentionally witnesses a girl jump to her death. So she cannot stop thinking about like who this woman was and what compelled her to do what she did. So once she discovers her identity, she ends up going to her funeral, just thinking she can just stop by, just, go unnoticed. At the funeral, she ends up meeting two of the girl's friends who are sisters and they're named Cassandra and Jane. And she strikes it up with them and starts, giving them this lie of like how she knows this woman because she doesn't want to just be like, oh, I actually don't know this woman at all, but I saw the obituary and was like, I'm gonna go. And Cassandra and Jane are just beautiful. They live this lavish lifestyle. So these sisters are really appealing to Shay and she wants, she kind of needs their friendship, honestly. She's at a place in her life where she's really lonely. Kind of has to live this fake life a little bit because she is making up a bunch of lies about how she knew this woman. The sisters kind of catch on to that a little bit and the story is told from both perspectives, both from Shay as well as the sisters. So it's really interesting to see what each other is thinking because each of them have kind of a ploy of their own and it's really interesting to see how that comes together and intertwines at the end. This was one of those books that I read before bed and I was having trouble falling asleep at night because these characters are just so insane, but it was great. I enjoyed it. The fourth book I could not put down this year was called My Lovely Wife. This is by Samantha Downing and this was the first book that I've read by hers and I loved her writing style as well. I was like, I need to read more books from her, so I have them on my queue. This was actually the next book I read after Verity because I was craving another like twisty thriller and this one was really unique. This was actually told by the husband's perspective, which I normally read books. Most books I feel like are by a woman's perspective or like the wife. So I really liked how this kind of switched it up a little bit. This book gives me Dexter vibes. It's about a serial killer couple, a husband and wife, who live a totally like normal life on the outside. They have two children, like going in high school. They live in suburbia. Extracurricular activity just happens to be killing people. Normal things. The tone is kind of sinister naturally in this book, but this book is just how they navigate their lives as, serial killers who are also trying to be like a normal suburban family. Getting the perspective of the serial killer who's actually doing it and kind of hunting them down and like the lengths that they go to capture this person is so horrifying. You start to learn more about like their past killings and kind of, why they do what they do, how they got started into it. I just found myself being stressed the whole time about, are they ever going to get caught? Like, do I even want them to get caught? Of course I want them to be caught, they're serial killers. But at the same time, you're like just so stressed about them potentially getting caught. It's a whirlwind. That's kind of all I can say about this book without giving too much away, but there was a twist in this and then there was another twist right at the end. It was one of those books where it's the last line that really shook me to the core. I need to stop reading these kind of books before bed because then I lay awake and I'm like, oh. And the last book that I could not put down is called Before She Knew Him. This one was actually recommended to me on the GOOOOD app, which I highly recommend you get. It's honestly one of my favorite apps. But this book follows a couple named Hen and Lloyd, and they recently moved into a more quiet, pace of life outside of Boston. So one night they're invited to dinner at their next door neighbor's house, and it's another couple. I believe the next door neighbor wife is giving Hen a tour of their house. But when she walks into the husband's study, her jaw drops because she sees an object, a trophy, but she immediately recognizes the trophy that's just in plain sight as one that looks identical to the missing object that was never recovered from a boy that went missing 2 years ago. She recognizes it because she's just always been really obsessed with this case. So she's freaking out and she goes home and tells her husband Lloyd that she thinks their neighbor is a killer. But Lloyd is not convinced. He thinks she's crazy because Hen, unfortunately, has a reputation for falsely accusing people. So already you're put into the situation of having a potentially unreliable narrator. And I kind of love that because you just don't know who to trust. She's kind of on her own with this. I also really enjoyed this book because it does switch between perspectives from the two couples. So you get to see Hen's perspective, thinking that her neighbor is a serial killer versus the actual neighbor, and you get get to see, you know, like what he's thinking at the same time. It was a really interesting read. I liked the plot of this. It was just really unique, and I did not expect the twist in this one at all as well. So I love when I'm caught off guard. I think that's just like the best part about reading a thriller. So those are the 5 books that I could not put down this year that were just truly like so easy and quick to read, bingeable books that I read in like 1 to 2 sittings, and I really think you guys will like them. A lot of you guys on Instagram have really liked these books as well. And again, if any of you are interested, I will link my Bees book club down below. You can join at any time and no pressure at all. I will also link my Goodreads. But other than that, I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you in my next one. Mwah!